All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started with our lesson for today. Our lesson is 1.1 over points, lines, and planes, and our I can statement is I can identify points, lines, and planes. Okay, so I'll be straight up with you guys. This first PowerPoint here, this is going to be mostly vocab. Okay, we have 8 vocab words that we're going over. That's really all we're doing today is vocab. So you will be taking some notes over vocab, but there is not too much to this lesson other than the words that we're going to learn today. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing, point. Okay, our first vocab word is point. So a point is a specific location with no size or shape, named with one letter. Okay, so when we name these points, all we're going to do is we're going to name them with one letter. Okay, so as you can see, our example here, we have point A. All we have to name this is point A. Okay, so make sure you get that full definition down. Something that is important, points do have no size and no shape. So there's no dimensions when it comes to points. So make sure you write down this entire definition as well as this point A example. Okay, draw your little point A and then name it point A. Okay, you guys can pause this as we go along. When I move on to the next word, just if you're not completed writing down the definition, go ahead and pause it. I am just going to go ahead and fly through this. If you guys need to at any point, please pause it to write down the definitions. Okay. Next up, we have line. Okay, a line is made up of an infinite amount of points. Infinite amount of points. There's no thickness or width to these lines. Okay, so what these are, this is just an infinite amount of points, and remember, points have no size and no shape. So, how do we name lines? That's a good question. We name them by a small cursive letter on the end of the line. So if a line has a small cursive letter at the end of the line, like this one does right here, we will name it that. So we can name this line M, but they won't always have that. Sometimes they're just going to have 2 points on them, and we'll have to name them through that. So as you can see, we can name this line M, or what we can do is we can take the 2 points right here, P and Q, and we can name this PQ. Okay, now we don't have to actually write out the word line. Something that we can do to make this easier is if we wanted to just use the letter M, we would write an M with a line over top. Okay, so as you can see, this would name the line as well. Likewise, if we wanted to name it line PQ, all we would do is write out PQ, and we're going to put that line over the top. Okay, the line over the top is extremely important. If you don't have that line, then those are just 2 letters. Okay, we don't know what those 2 letters are. We have to have that line over the top. Okay, so that is how we can name lines right here. There is exactly 1 line through any 2 points. So if you see a question like this on your IXL, there is exactly 1 line that goes through any 2 points. Okay, next up, linear. Okay, and we have this underlined right here, linear. Linear literally just means a line. So if we have the word linear, we're just talking about a line. So when we talk about collinear are just points that are on the same line. So as you can see in this example, P and Q would be collinear because they are both on line M. All right, so now that we know what collinear means, I think we would have a pretty good idea of what non-collinear means. Okay, non-collinear just means they are not on the same line. Okay, not on the same line. Okay, moving on. Parallel lines. Okay, parallel lines are lines that will never intersect, never in a million years. Okay, these are going to extend on for infinity, forever and ever. And as you can see, these will never intersect. Okay, that is because they are what we call parallel. Anytime we have parallel lines, those lines do not intersect each other. However, perpendicular lines. perpendicular lines intersect one time, and they intersect at a 90-degree angle. So I don't know if you guys know yet what this box means, but that box right there tells us that this is a 90-degree angle, okay? Anytime you see two lines come together that create a 90-degree angle, those are what we call perpendicular, okay? Moving on. Next slide here. These are our last vocabulary words, so make sure we get these down as well. We have a plane, okay? A plane is two-dimensional, and it is a flat surface made up of points, and it extends infinitely in all directions, okay? These planes will go infinitely in all directions. How do we name a plane? We name a plane by using 3 points that are on the plane, okay? We could also use a capital letter in the corner if they have it. So for example, this plane right here, they have a capital letter in the corner. So we could name this plane K. Or we could just choose 3 of the points that are on this plane. So we could choose B, C, and D. We could name this plane BCD. Okay. The order of the points does not matter. If you guys wanted to say plane DCB, that would work as well. Okay. It does not matter what order those points are in, as long as all 3 of them are on the plane, that will get the job done. Okay. Coplanar. Coplanar. So kind of like collinear meant on the same line, coplanar means on the same plane. So as you can see, points B, C, and D are coplanar because they are all on the same plane. Let's say we had a point F over here. Point F would be non-coplanar with point C and point D and point B, okay, because it's not on the same plane. So that's the difference there between coplanar and non-coplanar. Now that we've done some vocabulary defining and we understand what these words mean, let's go ahead and see if we can put it to the test. Okay, let's see if we can actually name some of these things we're looking for. So I encourage you guys to pause this video right now, and I want you to try to come up with an answer for every single one of these. Okay, use your notes of what you just wrote down to help you come up with one of these. And then after you are done with that, unpause it, and we'll see if you were correct. Okay, sometimes in this, I might not have the same one as you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are incorrect. Okay, so go ahead, pause this, and get yourself going here. All right, so we've got to name a point on the plane shown. Okay, there are many options here. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose the first one I see, which is X. Okay, I see point X. Okay, some other points that you could also have said, you could have said point Y, point W, or point R. Okay, any of those would have worked. The only one that would not have worked for this would have been point Z. All right, now kind of answers our question already. Name a point that is not on the plane. That would be the only one that doesn't work for number 1, which would be point Z. So make sure when we are writing these, we're writing these in the correct form, the way that we learned them in this slideshow. Next one, name a line that's on the plane shown. Okay, we have a couple of options here. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose line N. Line N would work. Also, if you said line M would also work. And again, there are multiple ways to name a line. So we can go ahead and choose either the small letters and an M, or we could have said the letters. So you could have told me line WY or line YW. Likewise, you could have told me line XR or RX or RY or YR. Okay. Also could have said XY or YX. Those would all work in this situation. Okay. Next one. Name a line that intersects the plane shown. Intersects the plane shown. So obviously our parallelogram here is our plane, and it looks like this dotted line right here is telling us that this line goes straight down. Okay, it starts at R. It's not on the plane, but it's actually coming up through the plane. So this is going, think of this going as straight up and down, not with the plane, but through the plane. So this line right here would be our line that intersects the plane. And we can say that this is line L. You also could have said line RZ or ZR. Both of those would work. Naming the plane. A couple different ways to do this. Could have said plane B with this right here. That big capital letter in the corner of the plane, that would be fine. For me, another way to name the plane is by saying 3 of the points that are on the plane. So could have said W, X, and Y. Could have said R, Y, W. Really anything that includes X, W, Y, or R. As long as you have 3 of them there, that's perfect. Okay, that would have named the plane perfectly. As you can see, we need to name it another way. So I'll go ahead and just name this plane XWR. Okay, XWR. There are many ways that you could have named that. So as long as you included those 3 points that are on the plane, you would have been great. Okay, moving on to our last slide here. Okay, this is the last slide, and this talks about intersections. So there's a couple different ways that we can intersect. The first one is a line on line. Anytime we have a line and another line that intersect, they're going to intersect at a point. Okay, this would be point P. Okay, so point P represents the intersection of L and M. So anytime 2 lines intersect, they intersect to make a point. Okay, now plane on plane. If we have these 2 planes intersecting, they are actually going to intersect to make a line. So as you can see, we have line R right here that we get from this intersection. So if you see a question on your IXL talking about true or false, 2 planes can create a line when they intersect, right here shows us that when 2 planes are intersecting, they create a line. Last one here, line on plane. Okay, we saw this in the last example. This dotted line here showing us that this is coming up through the plane. So it's coming from the bottom side of the plane up through the middle, and then it's reaching the top. Okay, it's going past the plane on the top. When we have this, this intersects at a point. Okay, this line on plane will intersect at a point. Okay. So hopefully this is helpful. Your assignment for today is IXL B2 to a 75%. All right, make sure we have that completed to a 75%.